So that's how it's
More videos.
supposed to look.
Oh, I like these videos.
Yeah, that's definitely not right. Is it lower too? I don't know how or when this happened, but at some point the suspension right here collapsed. It's not just further back, it's also sitting on the frame. Now you might think, isn't that incredibly noticeable? And this should tell you how well the Robin drives normally. No! So let's get it up in the air and see what's going on. Okay, I've had a look at it, and I understand less now. Let's have a look at the good side first for point of comparison. Okay, here's the rear of the leaf spring. Here's the front of the leaf spring. Here's the front of the leaf spring from a different angle. And here's the middle. Nothing super out of the ordinary. It's only one leaf, well, two leaves in there, and then some little pieces stacked in there. And the bolts that hold it on are kind of bent, but it's not that bad. Here's the back of the leaf on the bad side. Here's side-by-side comparison with the good side. And here's the front of the leaf on the bad side. Again, side-by-side with the good side. And here's the big difference. Do you see a problem here? Yeah, so it looks like the top leaf on this side, the one that actually bolts it onto the frame, is in two halves and is pulled apart by a couple inches. There are two castle nuts and a big nut up here on this front, but on the back half of this U-bolt is a single nut. Good. Okay, there's a lot to uncover here. See these two castle nuts? They're oversized. They're being used as spacers. Why are they being used as spacers? I started loosening this nut on the top, and that was all that's holding it down. What kind of life has this car had? I don't know why I'm making my life so hard. I'd have a lot more access if I just took the freaking wheel off.
This is ready to go online. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How about the best network imaginable? Let's invent that.
We don't have time for lag or buffering. Who doesn't want internet that helps AI do your homework even faster?
Come again? Sorry, what was that?
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity.
How do we know you'll love pretzel crust? Because this person begged us to never tease them again about their precious pretzel crust. Well, guess what? Pretzel crust is back! Or is it? Nah, seriously, it's back. Maybe. No, it's back.
Pizza, pizza.
Maybe.
Good God! Okay, let's put some lubricant on there. This sway bar link is in the way, so let's get rid of it. Obviously, the reason that it's in the way is because the axle is pushed so far back that it's, jamming. That's not a castle nut, just a regular old lock nut. It's too big. You'd be using as a spacer. Again, what atrocities I'm finding in this thing. Now let's remove the front link, which will probably require some persuasion. Spritz it with some lubricant. No need for negativity. Why do I not have a ratcheting wrench set yet? What's wrong with me? The front wasn't so bad, but this one looks like it's going to cause me more trouble. I think this shock needs to come off just so I can drop the axle a little bit more. Oh, that was actually extremely easy. There we go. Okay, there's that whole mount. Interesting, the mud flap is attached to the leaf spring, and that is the leaf spring. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Yeah, we're going to ignore that for now. The U-bolts that hold this thing in place, I can see why there were castle nuts stacked up on here as spacers, because the threads where the nuts are supposed to go, all sorts of boogered up. Also, look at this. This looks homemade. This does not look factory made. Clearly this has been worked on at some point because of all that bodgery underneath there, but yeah, that looks homemade. So before I put this back in, after I get it fixed obviously, before I put this back in, I'm going to try to either locate or make new U-bolts to attach it. Now the leaf spring. It's broken. It's fractured right in the middle where there was a stress point caused by that locating pin in the middle, and it looks like it has been broken for quite a long time. I can tell that because there's rust on the shear line. Only the very bottom of the shear line here is not rusty. So maybe it's been almost all of the way cracked for quite some time, but only very recently completely split in two and started spreading and then caused all those problems with the rear suspension.
Hello?
Now, I don't know how to fix leaf springs. So I Googled leaf spring repair. Didn't know what I was going to find. First thing that popped up was a local shop that specializes in leaf springs. Not only do they repair leaf springs, they also make custom ones. So I called them up and asked them, without seeing it, what's your general turnaround time? And they said, 1 to 2 days. not operating on a 2022 timescale. I would expect to wait 6 months for something like this, so I'm going to try out this place and I'll report back. Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Thanksgiving's coming up. Are you ready for Thanksgiving? Why are you running away? Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top-of-the-shelf goods. Every month, they introduce their members to cool new products, outdoor gear, barware, kitchen goods, and much more. Oh, it's a hammock! It's a hammock! I already forgot what I ordered. This hammock taught me how to do square knots. What you receive is based on a preference quiz you fill out when you sign up. The box lineup changes every month, and each box has around $70 in value in it. But you only pay a fraction of that price. Good job. 90% of the products in Bespoke Post boxes come from small businesses, many of which are based right here in the U.S. To get 20% off your first box, go to bespokepost.com/agingwheels20 and use my code AgingWheels20 at checkout. What was that? Thanks again to Bespoke Post for sponsoring this video. I can't get up fast, but I'm ready for you. I got my leaf springs. They made me 2 brand new leaf springs from scratch and 4 brand new U-bolts to hold them in place. The place I took them to was called St. Louis Spring Company, and leaf springs are all they do. They do leaf spring repair, and they make completely new leaf springs like this one here. I'm super happy with all this. It only took them a couple of days, and would you like to guess how much all of this costs? $342. I was blown away by the pricing and the timeline. These guys are operating from at least a decade ago. There's no way that a company like this, with that turnaround time and those prices, exists in the year 2022. The only thing that gives me mild concern is the old Robin leaf springs were tapered, and these aren't. So they're probably going to be a little bit stiffer than the old ones. Granted, the old ones were broken, so anything I put in there that's not broken is going to seem stiffer anyway. So let's put these in the car. It's in. Getting this far wasn't exactly straightforward. First of all, the bushing on the front, wrong size. So I had to drill it out. I did check, and the other side leaf spring's front bushing is the correct size, so this is probably just a one-time mistake. They grabbed the wrong bushing out of a bin or whatever. Second problem is the locating pin in the middle of the leaf spring, the bottom of it, too big for the corresponding hole in the top of the axle. So first I had to drill out the hole in the top of the axle to 1/2 inch. Wow! And that's as far as my drill bit sizes go. So then I had to round off the nut on the bottom of the leaf spring with a file. And now I've got the leaf spring bolted in place, but not bolted to the axle because there's a new problem. This is a brand new leaf spring that has not had any time to settle, and it has a very pronounced arc, as a new leaf spring should, which means the axle is pushed too far down, so I can't reattach the shock mount or the anti-roll bar mount that actually sits on the top plate here. And I can't push the axle up with this transmission jack because as I push up on it, it pushes up on the whole car, which will knock it off the lift, which is a problem. So I need to figure out a way to pull the axle towards the frame so that I can take up the slack in this arc, reattach these two things, and get this whole thing back together. Okay, this is actually simpler than I thought it was going to be. First thing, I loosened the rear bolt on the leaf spring. I had it too tight and it wasn't allowing the leaf spring to move very much. Then I did jack up on it with this, and it did lift it up slightly off of one lift post over here. About a centimeter or so, and I'm very close to being able to fit this in here. All I need to do is pull down on the Robin. So I've wrapped this ratchet strap around the frame rail, and I can put my foot through the foot loop on the bottom here and just pull down on it with my hulking body weight, and hopefully I'll be able to slide this shock mount in. This is hard to do. In place. It's almost there. Where's the hammer? Forgive the heavy breathing. I'm being a trapeze artist on the bottom of a Robin. I just combined Robin and Trabant. All it took is a little ingenuity and trapeze work. Now, this top plate is, I believe, the next problem. As you might be able to see from the axle shifting back, this is bent this way. I need to twist it back. And now I could hit it with a torch and then heat it up and bend it back, but that's not using technological thinking. I'm going to heat it up with the power of induction. Contact! Why heat up everything around the metal when you can heat up the metal itself? Okay, that's probably enough. And just a little bit of this. There we go. Now I can't touch it for hours because it is red hot. With that top plate straightened out, I can finally install the shiny new U-bolts. And before you say anything, yes, I realize this bushing is completely shot, but I don't have a new one on hand. I'd have to order it from England, and it's winter. I'm not going to be driving this car anyway, so it doesn't matter. That is the left side done, the problem side. Now, those absolute jerks at the spring company made me a second matching leaf spring for the other side, so I won't have a variable spring rate side to side, which means I have to now tackle all of the rusty crap on the other side of the car, which I don't want to do, but it's for the betterment of the car, I guess.
Or the
All
truck.
right, let's get to it. That's the wrong size. Good start. That is more than a little loose. The shock mounts and both of the leaf spring mounts are bolts supported on one side. This is not a heavy-duty suspension setup. Not that it was ever intended to be. It's a Reliant Robin. It weighs 2 ounces. Oh. Well, I'm glad I was forced to have a look at this side because this U-bolt here is held in place by a bunch of stacked spacer nuts like the other side was, but this U-bolt is being held in by one nut. There is no nut on this side at all. So ostensibly there is one single U-bolt holding this side of the axle in place. So it's a good thing I got replacements. Just like with the other side, I'm going to start out by loosening these with a wrench. Maybe even a breaker part. Need some more lubricant.
Ow.
Got it! Once now, it comes right out. I am now realizing that the Reliant mud flap that was bolted to the other leaf spring I left at the springing shop. Should I go get it?
No.
It's kind of destroyed. I'm going to leave it. Now in with the new, but before I can do that, I have to drill out the alignment hole for the locator pin. I have to round off this nut, and I don't have to drill out this bushing here because this one is the right side.
My dick hurts so bad. I almost want to suck
There
me.
is absolutely nothing going on with me romantically.
Great. Can I buy you a drink after this?
No.
Oh, no. This is so difficult. There we go. This is interesting. The shock mount is just a bolt, and it bolts into the axle, but it's also very clearly supposed to be welded in place. But the ring that's supposed to be welded here is missing and broken, and it wasn't there when I took it off, so we're just going to put it back like I found it. Almost.
Okay, after this one video, let's do the next one.
There we go. Just like on the other side, I don't really know how far down to tighten these U-bolts because they have a seemingly unlimited amount of stretch, and I don't want to break them. So I'm just going to tighten them down to a point that feels all right.
I'm just making extra videos.
Downside of the Robin being as light as it is, it takes forever to get down off the lift. This is as fast as it goes. Well, it is definitely sitting higher, no question. I expected that. These are brand new leaf springs. They haven't had any time to settle.